The ancient crystal beacon had gone silent, but its communication systems remained active. Captain Jake Morrison stood inside the massive structure with Dr. Lisa Hamilton as alien symbols flowed across the crystalline walls like living text. The Guardian had told them to enter the beacon to receive a more complete understanding of humanity's true destiny. "The quantum resonance in here is incredible," Lisa said as she ran her scanner along the glowing walls. "It's like the entire structure is designed to interface directly with human consciousness." Jake could feel something happening to his mind as he stood in the center of the beacon chamber. Thoughts and images that were not his own began flowing through his awareness. "Lisa, I think it's starting to download information directly into our brains." Amy Chen and Carlos Rivera had remained on the Aurora Dawn to monitor the situation from orbit. The alien fleets that had threatened them were now departing the system one by one, their weapons permanently disabled by the Guardian technology. Through the ship's communication system, they could hear Jake and Lisa describing what they were experiencing inside the beacon. "Captain, the images I'm receiving are showing me Earth's history from a completely different perspective," Lisa reported over the radio. "I can see moments throughout human development where we were secretly protected from disasters we never knew about." Jake was watching scenes play out in his mind that showed asteroid impacts being deflected away from Earth, hostile alien scouts being turned away before they could discover the planet, and solar flares being redirected to prevent them from destroying Earth's atmosphere. "Amy, are you recording this?" "Every word, Captain. But I'm also detecting something else. The Guardian structures haven't actually left the system. They've just cloaked themselves. Again." The beacon suddenly filled with a new presence as Guardian Prime Unit 7 materialized as a projection of pure energy in the chamber with Jake and Lisa. Unlike their previous communication, this Guardian appeared almost human in shape but composed of flowing light and geometric patterns. "You may find this form easier to relate to," the Guardian said. "We have taken the appearance of evolved humanity to help you understand what your species is destined to become." Lisa stepped closer to the projection. "How long have you been watching over Earth?" "We have been your protectors for over 2 million years of your planet's history. When the architects first identified Earth as a protected seed world, they selected a small group of humans from your distant past and brought them forward through time to this era." Jake was trying to understand the timeline. "So you started as humans from our past?" "Not your past, but rather from an alternate timeline where humanity developed along a different path. The architects showed us the future that Earth could have if properly guided and protected. We chose to become the guardians of that timeline." The chamber filled with new images showing the process by which early humans were transformed into the Guardian beings. Jake watched as primitive humans were given advanced technology and evolved over millions of years into beings of pure energy and consciousness. "The evolution process required us to give up our physical forms, but we retained our human consciousness and our drive to protect our own species," the Guardian explained. "We exist now as quantum entities capable of manipulating space, time, and energy at the fundamental level." Lisa was studying the technical details of the transformation process. "But how do you maintain continuity between past and future? If you change things in our timeline, doesn't that affect your own existence? Time is more flexible than your current science understands. We exist in multiple temporal dimensions simultaneously, which allows us to protect our own origins without creating paradoxes. Every action we take to protect Earth strengthens the timeline that leads to our creation." Carlos's voice came through the radio from the ship. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the solar system. It looks like the Guardians are preparing for something big." The Guardian projection turned toward the communication system. "We are preparing to show you the full scope of our protection network. What you have seen today is only a small part of our capabilities." The beacon chamber suddenly became transparent, and Jake and Lisa found themselves looking out into space as if the walls had disappeared. They could see the Guardian structures throughout the solar system becoming visible again, but now there were far more of them than before. "We maintain hidden installations throughout this entire region of the galaxy," the Guardian explained. "Cloaked stations around every star system within 50 light-years of Earth, monitoring for threats and ready to respond instantly." Amy's voice was filled with awe as she watched the displays from the ship. "Captain, I count over 10,000 Guardian installations just in our local stellar neighborhood. They've been surrounding us this entire time." Jake realized the incredible scope of what he was seeing. You've been protecting not just Earth, but this entire region of space? Earth is the center of a carefully maintained protective zone. We ensure that hostile civilizations are discouraged from expanding into this area and that emerging species are given the chance to develop peacefully. Lisa was recording everything. As the Guardian continued the explanation, what about other human colonies? We've established settlements on several worlds in recent years. We are aware of every human presence in this galaxy. Our protection extends to all human settlements, and we guide their development to ensure they follow beneficial paths. The Guardian projection moved closer to them. But our protection comes with responsibilities. Humanity must continue to grow and evolve along the path that leads to our existence. Your species must develop the wisdom and technology necessary to eventually become guardians themselves. Jake thought about the implications. Are you saying that some humans from our time will eventually become like you? In approximately 3 million years, a select group of humans will be chosen to join us as guardians. This is how we maintain our numbers and ensure continuity across the time streams. Those who make this choice will gain incredible power, but they must give up their physical existence. Carlos interrupted from the ship. Captain, the alien fleets are completely gone now. Whatever the Guardians did to them seems to have convinced them to leave permanently. We have implanted suggestions in their command structures that will discourage future aggression toward this region of space. Some of the more hostile species will find that their expansion efforts are mysteriously frustrated whenever they attempt to move toward Earth. Lisa realized something important. That's why humanity has been so lucky during our expansion into space. We've encountered very few hostile aliens, because you've been managing our contact with other civilizations. We allow contact only with species that will benefit human development or provide useful learning experiences. The truly dangerous civilizations are kept away until humanity is ready to face them. The beacon chamber began showing them a map of the galaxy with thousands of points of light, representing Guardian installations and protected worlds. We protect 47 different species across this galaxy, but Earth remains our primary responsibility because it is our point of origin. Jake studied the galactic map. What about the other protected species? Do they know about you? Each species receives protection appropriate to their level of development. Some, like the crystalline beings of Andromeda Prime, work directly with us as junior partners. Others, like the hive minds of the Spiral Arm, are protected without their knowledge. Amy's sensors were picking up new activity as several Guardian vessels approached their position. Captain, 3 Guardian ships are heading our way. They're much smaller than the installations we saw before. We are sending escort vessels to accompany you on your return journey to Earth. The knowledge you carry is too important to risk, and there may be other hostile forces that attempt to intercept you. Lisa looked at the Guardian projection. What do we tell people back on Earth? How much of this can we reveal? Tell them what they are ready to understand. The knowledge will spread gradually as your species becomes more capable of accepting the truth about their destiny. Some will find it difficult to believe that their protectors are evolved humans from the future. Jake realized their mission had changed completely from what they had originally planned. We came out here to explore, and instead we discovered that humanity's greatest protectors have been ourselves all along. Exploration and discovery are fundamental, human traits that must be preserved throughout your evolution. These characteristics are essential for the development of effective guardians. The Guardian projection began to fade as their communication session came to an end. Your ship is now equipped with advanced communication systems that will allow you to contact us if truly necessary. Use this capability wisely. Carlos reported from the ship that new systems had appeared throughout the Aurora Dawn. Captain, we've got technology integrated into our ship that I don't recognize. It looks like they've upgraded our communication, navigation, and defensive systems. Jake and Lisa left the beacon chamber and returned to their ship to find that it had indeed been enhanced with Guardian technology. On the 4th day since the beacon activated, Captain Jake Morrison was awakened by alarms screaming throughout the Aurora Dawn. He rushed to the bridge where Amy Chen was staring at her sensor displays with a look of complete confusion on her face. Captain, you need to see this, Amy said as her hands moved quickly over her controls. The energy signatures I've been tracking just spiked beyond anything my equipment can measure. But that's not the strangest part. Jake looked at the tactical display and saw that the alien battle above the planet had suddenly stopped. The 7 different fleets that had been destroying each other for the past day were now hanging motionless in space as if frozen in time. What happened to them? Jake asked. I don't know, Amy replied. One moment they were firing everything they had at each other, and the next moment they just stopped. All their weapons are powered down and they're not moving. Carlos Rivera emerged from the engine room looking concerned. Captain, our ship's systems are detecting massive gravitational distortions throughout the solar system. It's like something is bending space itself around us. Dr. Lisa Hamilton was already studying the data from her tablet when she looked up with excitement. Jake, I think I know what's happening. I've been working all night on the architect records and I found something incredible. What did you find? Jake asked as he moved to stand beside her. The temporal anchor system I mentioned before. It's not just theoretical. The architects actually built it, and it's been active this whole time. When a protected seed world is in danger, the system can reach across time itself to summon help. Amy's equipment suddenly registered new contacts appearing throughout the solar system. Captain, I'm reading massive objects decloaking all around us. They're appearing out of nowhere. Jake looked at the main screen and watched as space itself seemed to shimmer and fold. Enormous structures began materializing around the planet that were unlike anything he had ever seen. They looked like they were made of pure energy contained within geometric frameworks that hurt to look at directly. How many of them are there? Jake asked. I count at least 50 major structures and hundreds of smaller ones, Amy replied. They're surrounding the entire solar system. Captain, these things are huge. Some of them are larger than Earth's moon. Carlos was monitoring the power readings from these new arrivals. The energy output from those structures is incredible. Whatever technology they're using is beyond anything we've ever imagined. Lisa was comparing the new arrivals to the architect records on her tablet. The symbols match. These are guardian systems mentioned in the ancient texts. But Jake, look at the design patterns. They're not completely alien. What do you mean? Jake asked. There are elements in their construction that look familiar. The way they use energy fields and the mathematical principles behind their shapes. It's like looking at human technology that's been advanced by millions of years. One of the guardian structures moved closer to the planet, and the crew of Aurora Dawn could see it more clearly. It was shaped like a massive crystal similar to the beacon that had started everything. But this one was alive with flowing patterns of light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Amy's communication equipment suddenly came to life with a signal unlike anything she had ever received. Captain, one of them is trying to communicate with us. The signal is incredibly complex, but my computers are starting to decode it. Put it through the speakers, Jake ordered. A voice filled the bridge that sounded almost human, but with harmonics and undertones that suggested something far more advanced. Greetings, children of Earth. We have received your call for assistance. Jake stepped forward toward the communication panel. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Aurora Dawn. Who are you? We are the Guardians assigned to protect your world and your species. We have been watching and waiting for this moment for a very long time. Lisa moved closer to the speakers. Are you the ones the architects wrote about in their records? The architects were our teachers long ago. When they departed this galaxy, they left us with the responsibility of protecting certain worlds that showed promise for future greatness. Earth was designated as the most important of these protected seed worlds. Carlos was studying the energy readings from the Guardian structures. How is this possible? The technology you're using shouldn't exist. Your science will understand in time. For now, know that we have the power to protect you from the threats that have gathered here. Jake looked at the tactical display showing the motionless alien fleets. What did you do to those ships? We have temporarily suspended their aggressive capabilities. They are unharmed but unable to continue their attack. We must now decide what to do with them. Amy was recording everything as the Guardian continued to speak. Why didn't you help us sooner? We've been calling for help for days. We could not intervene until the threat reached a level that would endanger not just your small expedition, but your entire species. The beacon you activated has revealed Earth's location to hostile civilizations. This required our direct action. Lisa was studying the data streams coming from the Guardian structures. The information patterns they're using are incredibly advanced, but there's something familiar about them. It's like looking at human language and mathematics, but evolved, far beyond what we currently understand. One of the alien fleets tried to power up their weapons, but the Guardian systems immediately responded. Beams of pure energy surrounded the hostile ships and their weapons simply stopped working. The aliens found themselves completely helpless against technology they could not comprehend. "Your protection systems are incredible," Jake said. "But what happens now? Those alien civilizations will remember what happened here. Some will be discouraged from future aggression against Earth. Others will become more determined to eliminate what they see as a growing threat. Your species stands at a crossroads, Captain Morrison." Carlos was monitoring the Guardian communications and noticed something strange. "Captain, the signal from the Guardians is coming through our ship's communication systems, but it's also being transmitted directly into our heads." "How is that possible?" "We communicate through quantum resonance patterns that interface directly with conscious thought. This allows us to share concepts that cannot be expressed in your current language." Lisa suddenly looked up from her tablet with an expression of shock. "Jake, I've been analyzing the quantum signatures from their communication system. The base patterns match human brainwave frequencies. These Guardians have some kind of connection to humanity." "What kind of connection?" Jake asked. The Guardian's voice became somehow warmer and more familiar. "Dr. Hamilton is very perceptive. The connection is deeper than you might imagine. We are not as alien as we appear." Amy's sensors detected movement as several of the smaller Guardian structures approached the Aurora Dawn. "Captain, they're coming closer. Should I be worried?" "You are in no danger from us. We wish to share something important with you before we withdraw to our hidden positions." One of the approaching structures opened like a flower and projected a holographic display that filled the air around the ship. The crew watched as images flowed through the display showing the history of their galaxy over millions of years. "Long ago, when your species was young, the architects selected certain humans for a special purpose. These chosen individuals were taken forward in time and given the knowledge and technology necessary to become guardians of their own past." Jake stared at the holographic display as understanding began to dawn on him. "You're saying that you're human? We are what humanity becomes given millions of years of evolution and the guidance of the architects. We are your descendants from a future timeline, tasked with protecting our own origins." Lisa's tablet was recording everything as she tried to process what she was hearing. "That's impossible. How can you exist in our time if you come from the future? Time is not the linear progression your current science believes it to be. The architects taught us to move through temporal dimensions as easily as you move through space. We exist in multiple time streams simultaneously." Carlos was studying the technical specifications of the Guardian systems. "So you've been watching Earth this entire time. We have been hidden throughout your solar system and beyond, monitoring your progress and protecting you from threats you never knew existed. The beacon system was designed to call us when your species encountered danger beyond your ability to handle." Amy realized something important. "That's why our distress call was answered so quickly. You were already here. We have always been here watching over our own past, but we could not reveal ourselves until the proper time. Your activation of the beacon and the response of hostile civilizations created the conditions that allowed us to act." Jake looked around at his crew as they all tried to understand the magnitude of what they had learned. "What happens to us now? Do we return to Earth with this knowledge? That choice is yours to make. Some of your crew may choose to remain here and begin the long journey toward becoming guardians themselves. Others may return to Earth to help prepare your species for the challenges ahead." Lisa was already thinking about the implications. "If we tell Earth about this, it will change everything. Humanity will know that they have protectors from their own future." 3 days had passed since the beacon activated, and the crew of Aurora Dawn could feel the weight of their situation pressing down on them. Captain Jake Morrison had barely slept as he watched the long-range sensors track the approaching alien fleets. What had started as a few dozen ships had grown into a massive armada of different alien civilizations all racing toward their location. Dr. Lisa Hamilton spent every waking hour inside the crystal structure trying to understand what they had triggered. The ancient symbols continued to glow and shift on the walls around her. She had managed to decode some of the basic patterns, and what she found made her stomach turn with fear. "The builders called themselves the architects," Lisa explained to Jake over the radio. "From what I can understand, they were some kind of galactic peacekeeping force millions of years ago. But something happened to them. All the records just stopped suddenly with no explanation of where they went." Jake was studying the tactical display on the bridge. The alien fleets were now close enough for detailed scans, and what he saw terrified him. "Lisa, we've identified 7 different alien species in those fleets. None of them are friendly. Amy Chen had been monitoring communications from the approaching ships, and the messages they intercepted were not encouraging. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions between the alien fleets. They're not working together. Each group wants to claim this planet for themselves. They're planning to fight each other for it. That might work in our favor, Carlos Rivera said from his engineering station. If they're too busy fighting each other, maybe they'll forget about us. Jake shook his head. I don't think we're that lucky. Amy, what else are you hearing in those transmissions? Amy's face was pale as she listened to her headphones. They're talking about something called a seed world designation. It sounds like this planet has some special significance that we don't understand. And Captain, they've detected our ship. They know humans are here. Lisa's voice came through the radio from inside the crystal structure. Jake, you need to hear this. I found something important. Her excitement was mixed with fear. The architects didn't just build this beacon. They built thousands of them across the galaxy. But this one is different. It's marked as a guardian beacon for something called a protected seed world. What does that mean? Jake asked. I'm still trying to figure that out. The symbols are complex, but it seems like certain worlds were chosen for special protection. Earth is mentioned specifically in these records. Our planet was designated as a protected seed world by the architects before they disappeared. Carlos looked up from his engineering console. Protected by who? The architects are gone. That's what I'm trying to find out, Lisa replied. There are references to guardians, but the records are damaged. I can make out something about watchers and protectors, but not who they are or where they come from. Jake turned his attention back to the approaching fleets. The lead ships would arrive within 18 hours, and his small research vessel had no weapons and limited defensive capabilities. Amy, any response to our distress call? Nothing from Earth, Amy replied. The signal will take weeks to reach home, and any help they send will take months to get here. We're on our own. The first alien fleet to arrive belonged to a species Amy had identified as the Vex swarm. Their ships looked like massive insects made of metal, and they moved in precise formations that reminded Jake of a hive mind. The Vex had a reputation for consuming entire worlds and leaving nothing behind but empty space. Second fleet is the Shard Collective, Amy reported. Their ships are crystalline like the beacon, but much darker. Intelligence reports say they're silicon-based life forms that view organic species as inferior. Jake watched as more fleets dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the planet. How many ships total? Over 300 vessels from 7 different species, Amy answered. The Nebula Wraiths just arrived. They're energy beings that feed on electromagnetic fields. Then there's the Iron Claws, the Void Hunters, the Blood Tide, and something called the Dark Chorus that we've never encountered before. Lisa emerged from the crystal structure looking exhausted, but carrying a data tablet full of new information. I've made a breakthrough with the architect records. This beacon wasn't just meant to call for help. It was designed to test whether a species was ready for galactic citizenship. What kind of test? Jake asked as Lisa climbed aboard the ship. By activating the beacon, we proved that humans have reached a certain level of technological development, but we also announced our location to every hostile force in the galaxy. The test is whether we can survive what comes next. Carlos was monitoring the alien fleets through his sensors. The Vex swarm is taking position on the far side of the planet. The Shard Collective is moving to intercept them. I think they're about to start fighting each other. Good, Jake said. Maybe they'll destroy each other and leave us alone. But Lisa shook her head. I don't think it will be that simple. According to these records, the beacon also transmits detailed information about the species that activated it. They know exactly what humans are capable of, and they know where Earth is located. Amy's equipment suddenly erupted with new signals. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Something big is happening, but I can't identify the source. Jake looked at his scanner displays but saw nothing new. What kind of energy signatures? Gravitational distortions, quantum fluctuations, and electromagnetic pulses unlike anything I've ever seen. It's like space itself is being twisted and folded. But there's nothing on our visual sensors. Lisa studied her tablet again. Wait, there's something else in the architect records. They mention backup systems and fail-safe protocols. If a protected seed world was ever in serious danger, there were contingency plans. What kind of contingency plans? Jake asked. I can't read all of it, but there are references to hidden guardians and something called temporal anchors. The architects seemed to have ways of protecting their chosen worlds even after they were gone. The first battle between Alien fleets began as the Vex swarm engaged the Shard Collective near the planet's largest moon. Beams of energy and swarms of smaller attack craft filled the space around Kepler 442b. Jake watched the battle through his ship's cameras and realized that either side could destroy his vessel without even noticing. The fighting is spreading, Carlos reported. The Nebula Wraiths are attacking both the Vex and the Shards while the Ironclaws are moving to secure the planet's orbital space. Jake made a decision. We need to get underground. Carlos, can you find a cave or cavern where we can hide the ship? Already on it, Captain. There's a natural canyon about 10 miles from here that should provide some cover. As the Aurora Dawn lifted off and headed for the canyon, Amy continued monitoring the growing battle above them. Captain, the energy readings I detected earlier are getting stronger. Something is definitely happening, but I still can't see what it is. Lisa was deep in the architect records when she suddenly looked up with wide eyes. Jake, I found something. The Guardians mentioned in these records aren't aliens. The symbols are unclear, but there are references to children of the seed world and future protectors. I think the Guardians are somehow connected to Earth itself. That doesn't make sense, Jake replied. Earth doesn't have the technology to protect us from this kind of threat. I know it sounds impossible, but that's what the records suggest. The architects seem to believe that protected seed worlds would eventually develop their own Guardians. The temporal anchor systems were designed to connect past and future in ways I don't understand. The Aurora Dawn settled into the canyon just as the space battle above reached its peak. 7 different alien civilizations were now fighting each other with weapons that could crack planets. Jake knew that when the fighting ended, the winners would turn their attention to the small human ship hiding on the surface. Amy, keep monitoring those energy signatures. If something is coming to help us, I want to know about it. Yes, sir. The readings are off the charts now. Whatever is causing them is getting ready to act. Jake looked at his crew and realized they had done everything they could. They had hidden their ship, learned what they could about the beacon, and sent word to Earth about the threat. Now all they could do was wait and hope that Lisa was right about the Guardians. Lisa, keep studying those records. If there really are Guardians out there, we need to know how to contact them. I'm trying, Jake, but the symbols are incredibly complex. It's like the architects encoded their most important secrets in a language that takes time to understand. Above them, the battle raged on with flashes of light that could be seen through the planet's atmosphere. Soon one side would win and turn their attention to the small research vessel that had started this whole conflict. Jake Morrison could only hope that somewhere in the vast cosmos help was on the way. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the research vessel Aurora Dawn and watched the strange planet grow larger on the main screen. The year was 2157, and this was humanity's first deep space mission beyond the outer rim of known space. The planet below them was called Kepler 442b by the scientists back on Earth, and it looked nothing like home. The world was covered in purple clouds that swirled around, massive crystal formations that stuck up from the surface like giant needles. Some of these crystals were so tall they reached into the planet's upper atmosphere. Jake had been a ship captain for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this before. Take us down to the surface, Jake told his pilot. Find a safe place to land near the largest crystal formation. Dr. Lisa Hamilton moved to stand beside Jake at the front of the bridge. She was the lead scientist on this mission and had spent most of the 3-month journey studying every bit of data they had about this planet. Lisa was excited about what they might find here. The long-range scans from Earth had shown that these crystal formations were not natural. Something had built them a very long time ago. The readings are incredible, Lisa said as she looked at her tablet. These structures are giving off energy signatures unlike anything we have seen before. Whatever civilization built these things was far more advanced than us. Chief Engineer Carlos Rivera was checking the ship's systems from his station near the back of the bridge. Carlos had worked on spaceships for 20 years, and he always worried about landing on unknown planets. Too many things could go wrong. Captain, I'm reading some strange electromagnetic fields coming from those crystals. They might interfere with our ship's systems. Jake nodded. Keep monitoring everything, Carlos. If you see any problems, let me know right away. Communications Officer Amy Chen was busy at her station, trying to scan for any signs of life on the planet. Amy was young, but she was the best communications expert in the fleet. I'm not picking up any life signs, she reported. But there's definitely artificial technology down there. The crystals are transmitting some kind of signal, but I can't decode it. The Aurora Dawn slowly descended through the purple clouds. As they got closer to the surface, the crew could see that the crystal formations were even more impressive than they had appeared from space. The largest one was over 2 miles tall and seemed to be made of some kind of blue-green material that glowed with its own inner light. Jake guided the ship to a flat area about half a mile from the base of the largest crystal. The landing was smooth, and within minutes they were on the surface of an alien world. Jake looked around at his crew. There were only 12 people on this mission, and they were further from Earth than any humans had ever been before. Lisa, take Carlos and Amy with you to examine the crystal structure, Jake ordered. I want you to find out what it is and who built it. But be careful. We don't know if this place is safe. Lisa was already putting on her environmental suit. The planet's atmosphere was breathable for humans, but they didn't want to take any chances. We'll start with external scans and then see if we can find a way inside. These readings suggest there might be chambers or rooms within the crystal itself. Carlos checked his engineering tools. I'll monitor for any energy spikes or dangerous radiation. If these things are still active after all this time, they must have an incredible power source. Amy gathered her communication equipment. I'll try to record and analyze any signals coming from the structure. Maybe we can learn something about the builders from their technology. The 3 crew members left the ship and walked across the alien landscape toward the towering crystal formation. The ground was covered with smaller crystals that crunched under their feet like glass. The air was thick and humid, and everything had a strange blue tint because of the light coming from the crystals. As they got closer to the main structure, Lisa's equipment started showing amazing readings. This thing is incredibly old, she said over the radio. I'm getting dates that suggest it's been here for millions of years, but it's still functioning perfectly. The base of the crystal was smooth and seemed to be carved with symbols and patterns that none of them recognized. Amy ran her scanners over the markings while Carlos checked for any dangerous energy readings. The symbols look like some kind of writing system, Amy reported, but it's unlike anything in our databases. Lisa found what looked like an entrance about 20 feet up from the ground. There's an opening here. It looks like a doorway, but I don't see any way to reach it. She studied the smooth walls of the crystal. Wait, there are more symbols here. They're glowing brighter than the others. Carlos moved closer with his scanner. I'm reading a massive energy buildup. Something is activating. He looked at his readings again. Lisa, get away from there. The energy levels are spiking, but it was too late. Lisa had touched one of the glowing symbols, and the entire crystal formation began to pulse with bright light. The symbols on the surface started moving and changing like they were alive. A deep humming sound filled the air, and the ground began to vibrate under their feet. What did you do? Carlos shouted over the increasing noise. I don't know, Lisa replied. I just touched the symbol and everything started activating. Amy's communication equipment was going crazy. I'm picking up a massive signal broadcast. It's being transmitted on all frequencies, and it's incredibly powerful. The signal is spreading out in all directions across space. Back on the Aurora Dawn, Jake could see the crystal formation lighting up like a beacon. The purple clouds above the planet were being pushed away by some kind of energy field. What's happening down there? He called over the radio. We accidentally activated something, Lisa replied. It looks like we triggered some kind of ancient beacon system. The crystal continued to pulse with increasing intensity. The signal that Amy had detected was now so powerful that it was interfering with their equipment. Captain, this signal is being broadcast across the entire galaxy, Amy reported. Whatever this beacon is supposed to do, every civilization within 1,000 light-years is going to know about it. Carlos was watching his energy readings climb higher and higher. We need to get back to the ship. These energy levels are becoming dangerous. The 3 crew members ran back toward the Aurora Dawn as the crystal formation behind them reached maximum brightness. The beacon was now visible from space, and its signal was racing across the galaxy at faster than light speeds. Jake helped his crew get back aboard the ship and immediately ordered all systems to full alert. Carlos, get our engines ready for emergency departure. Amy, monitor all frequencies for any responses to that signal. Within hours, Amy's worst fears were confirmed. Captain, I'm detecting multiple responses to the beacon signal. Ships are changing course from all across this sector of the galaxy. They're all heading in our direction. Jake stared at the display screen showing dozens of alien ships converging on their position. How long until they get here? Based on their current speeds, the first ships will arrive in 3 days, Amy replied. Lisa was still studying the data from the crystal beacon. I think we made a terrible mistake. This beacon wasn't meant to call for help. I think it was meant to announce the discovery of something valuable. We just told every hostile civilization in the galaxy exactly where to find us. Jake looked at his small crew and realized they were about to face the greatest crisis in human history. They were alone, outnumbered, and trapped on an alien world with no way to defend themselves. Amy, send out a distress call on all human frequencies. Tell Earth what happened and ask for any help they can send. But Jake knew that help from Earth would take months to arrive if it came at all. They had 3 days to prepare for whatever was coming to find them. The journey back to Earth took 3 months, and during that time the crew of Aurora Dawn had many conversations with their Guardian escorts through the new communication systems. Captain Jake Morrison found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about humanity's future and their place in the galaxy. Dr. Lisa Hamilton spent most of the return trip studying the data they had collected from the beacon and the information shared by the Guardians. She had discovered that the path to becoming a Guardian was not just about advanced technology, but about fundamental changes to human consciousness itself. Jake, the more I learn about this evolution process, the more I realize how much humanity will have to change, Lisa said as they sat in the ship's small meeting room. The Guardians gave up their individual identities to become part of a collective consciousness dedicated to protection. Amy, Chen looked up from her communication station where she had been monitoring messages from Earth. I've been thinking about that too. If we tell people back home about this, how will they react to knowing that their ultimate destiny involves giving up their humanity? Carlos Rivera was working on integrating the Guardian technology into their ship's systems. Maybe that's why the Guardians said the knowledge would spread gradually. People need time to accept ideas this big. Jake had been struggling with a decision that the Guardians had presented to him privately. They had offered to take him forward in time to begin his own transformation into a Guardian. It was an incredible opportunity, but it would mean leaving his current life behind forever. The Guardians told me something before we left the beacon planet, Jake said to his crew. They said that every generation of humans produces individuals who are capable of making the transition to Guardian status. They've been watching our crew since we activated the beacon. Lisa set down her tablet and looked at Jake with concern. What are you saying? They offered to take me with them. Not now, but when we return to Earth. I would be taken forward in time to begin the evolution process that leads to becoming a Guardian. Amy's face showed shock. That's incredible, Captain. But what would that mean for you personally? I would retain my memories and core personality, but my physical existence would end. I would become part of the Guardian collective consciousness and spend the next 1,000,000 years protecting humanity's development. Carlos stopped working on his equipment. That's a huge decision, Jake. Are you seriously considering it? Jake looked out at the stars streaming past their ship. I keep thinking about what we learned. If I don't make this choice, who will? Someone has to ensure that the Guardians continue to exist to protect Earth. The Guardian's voice suddenly came through their communication system. Captain Morrison, your thoughts are understandable, but you should know that the choice is not as urgent as you believe. I thought you were maintaining communication silence during our return trip, Jake replied. We intervene only when clarification is necessary for your peace of mind. The Guardian Collective exists across multiple timelines and temporal dimensions. Your individual choice, while important, will not determine whether protection continues. Lisa leaned forward toward the communication panel. Can you explain how that works? In the timeline where Captain Morrison chooses to become a Guardian, his consciousness joins our collective and strengthens our capabilities. In timelines where he makes different choices, other individuals step forward to fill that role. Amy was trying to understand the implications. So you're saying that no matter what Jake decides, the Guardians will still exist? Correct. However, each individual who joins our collective brings unique perspectives and capabilities that enhance our effectiveness. Captain Morrison's choice would have value beyond simple necessity. Jake felt some of the pressure lift from his shoulders. What about the rest of my crew? Were they offered the same choice? Dr. Hamilton has the scientific mindset necessary for Guardian research and development. Communications Officer Chen has the empathic abilities needed for interspecies diplomacy. Engineer Rivera has the technical skills required for maintaining our advanced systems. Carlos looked surprised. You're saying all of us could become Guardians? The potential exists within each of you. But the choice must be made freely and with full understanding of the consequences. Guardian transformation is irreversible and requires absolute commitment to the protection of humanity across all timelines. Lisa had been thinking about the scientific implications. If we joined you, would we retain our human emotions and relationships? Guardian consciousness transcends individual emotion, but retains the core values and motivations that define human character. You would care deeply about humanity's welfare, but from a perspective that encompasses millions of years and countless possible futures. Jake realized that the decision was even more complex than he had originally thought. What happens if we choose to remain human and return to Earth? You will live normal human lives, but with the knowledge of our existence. Some of you may choose to dedicate your careers to preparing humanity for eventual contact with our collective. Others may simply continue their previous paths with greater understanding of their species' destiny. Amy had been monitoring communications from Earth and noticed something strange. Captain, I'm receiving messages from Earth that suggest our mission has been classified at the highest levels. The government is treating our return as a matter of extreme national security. That is expected, the Guardian replied. Earth's governments have detected the energy signatures from our intervention at the beacon planet. They know something significant occurred, but they do not yet understand what they observed. Carlos was concerned about the political implications. What happens when we tell them the truth about the Guardians? The revelation will be managed carefully to prevent panic or inappropriate responses. Earth's leaders will be informed gradually, and only those with the wisdom to handle such knowledge responsibly. Jake made a decision about his immediate future. I want to return to Earth first and help humanity understand what we've learned. If I decide to become a Guardian later, will the opportunity still be available? The opportunity exists outside of linear time. You may make the choice to join us at any point in your life or even after your natural death. Time has meaning only for physical existence. Lisa was excited about the research possibilities. If we return to Earth, will we be able to continue studying the information you've shared with us? Your ship now contains archived Guardian knowledge that will keep human scientists busy for centuries. The data is encrypted in ways that will allow gradual revelation as your species becomes ready for each new level of understanding. Amy noticed that Earth was becoming visible on their long-range sensors. We'll be home in 2 weeks. Have you decided what you're going to tell people when we arrive? Jake thought about the magnitude of the revelation they carried. We tell them the truth, but carefully. Humanity has guardians watching over them, and those guardians are evolved humans from the future. Our species has a destiny among the stars that's greater than we ever imagined. Carlos was reviewing the technical specifications of their upgraded ship. The technology we're bringing back will advance human science by decades or maybe centuries. Just the power systems alone will revolutionize space travel. Be cautious about releasing advanced technology too quickly, the Guardian warned. Humanity must develop the wisdom to use powerful tools responsibly. We have seen species destroy themselves by advancing technologically faster than they evolved ethically. Lisa was already planning her research agenda. I want to establish a new scientific institute dedicated to studying Guardian knowledge and preparing humanity for eventual contact with the collective. Jake looked around at his crew and realized they had all been fundamentally changed by their experience. Whatever we each decide about becoming Guardians, we have a responsibility to help humanity understand their true potential. Amy received a final message from the Guardians as Earth grew larger on their screens. Captain, they're saying goodbye. The escort vessels are returning to their hidden positions, but they'll continue monitoring our progress. Remember, the Guardian's voice came through their communication system one last time. You are never truly alone. We watch over humanity from across time itself, ensuring that the species that created us continues to thrive and grow. Your mission was successful beyond your original intentions. Jake activated the ship's communication system to contact Earth. This is Aurora Dawn requesting permission to dock at Luna Station. We have important information to share about humanity's future among the stars. As their ship approached Earth's orbital facilities, Jake Morrison looked back at the stars and knew that somewhere out there, invisible guardians continued their eternal watch. Humanity's greatest protectors had always been themselves, reaching back across time to ensure their own origins remained safe. The crew of Aurora Dawn carried with them the most important knowledge in human history, the the truth that would forever change how humanity saw itself and its destiny. They were not alone in the universe, and they never had been. Their future selves stood guard across the galaxy, patient and eternal, waiting for the day when new generations of humans would join them in their sacred duty.